Thank you. I'm glad that you're here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us tonight for our 9th candidate forum in the 2022 election cycle. Secular AZ is a 501c3 organization focused on protecting the Constitution and the separation of church and state in Arizona for over a decade. I am excited to be hosting our 9th in a series of candidate forums for school board candidates in Arizona. We decided to begin hosting this type of event because our members care about the growing threat of white Christian nationalism in our state and country. And we're seeing how this political ideology is threatening our local school boards. And our local school boards truly are the heart of our democracy. We may have some newcomers here today. And if our mission of protecting the Constitution is something that you care deeply about, we ask you to consider becoming a member of our organization, perhaps even becoming a monthly donor or volunteering for our various events and committees that we have and opportunities throughout the state. Better yet, do all three. During our legislative session, we can also guide you to the Request to Speak or RTS app to engage with your elected officials at the Arizona legislature when you sign up for our action alerts. Tonight, we will be speaking with candidates for the Marana Unified School District Governing Board. According to public records, there are 4 candidates running for 2 seats in MUSD. There are 2 four-year seats open. I want to acknowledge the other candidates running in MUSD. Tom Carlson emailed to say that he was unable to attend, and we never received a response from the other candidate, Mikhail Roberts. So tonight, we are going to be joined by 2 candidates running for the 4-year seats. That means that tonight we are joined by Abigail Lavicek and Catherine Microness. Did I say it right? Please tell me I did.
Yes, you said it correctly.
Okay, good. And like I said, they're both running for the 4-year seats. So we will allow candidates to introduce themselves with a 3-minute limit in alphabetical order. And then we will ask questions with the second person in alphabetical order. So we'll flip-flop back and forth, so on. I'll do my best to make sure that I have the order of candidates correct. What I will do too, if you are approaching the timeline, I'll hold up 10 fingers like this and just kind of quietly let you know that you're running out of time. And then I'll cut you off. And you don't necessarily have to go to the full 2 or 3 minutes with these questions. At around probably 7 or so, we'll add, and it might even be earlier than that because we do only have 2 candidates. We will ask any questions coming from the audience, and I will do my best to monitor our Facebook for questions, as I know Lindsay, our development director, does as well. And then we will allow time for closing statements. So without any further ado, we're going to go in alphabetical order, and that means Abby, you are going to go ahead and go first and take 3 minutes to introduce yourself to everybody.
Thank you so much for hosting this. It's such a pleasure being here. My name is Abby Lavicek, and I was born and raised in New Jersey. I moved here to Tucson about 12 years ago when I got married to my husband. I have been in the technology field for over 20 years, but for the past 12 years, I have been working in several different positions that I've just worked my way up the ladder in the software industry. I have 3 children that benefit from the Marana Unified Education. I have a 5th grader that is gifted, and I also have a 3rd grader that has special needs, and I have a 1st grader. Marana caters to all 3 of them beautifully. I decided to run for Marana Unified when I discovered that there was a particular board member that was intentionally placing our educators and our students in harm's way. The mama bear came out of me, and I decided I just could not sit here and not do anything. And as a result of the policy that was being implemented, I discovered that activism really made my heart sing. I decided to meet parents where they were at during a pandemic, which was typically at home. They were busy, I knew they had very little time to get a microphone to their opinions, to the board members, to the board of supervisors. I created a forum that was distributed throughout the community, and I've gathered almost at least 1,200 in just signatures in a week. I became very passionate about that. I am also a former charter school mom. When my middle child went to a charter school, I realized when the pandemic hit, he was literally thriving at home. And the only thing that changed was the environment. So I realized I'm a plant mom. So I know if a flower doesn't bloom, we need to do something about the environment. And I decided to reach out to Marana Unified, and I was met with such compassion and empathy and listening. And I decided to join the PTO, and it has been a delight of mine to serve my community in this way. And I think that's about it.
Great, thank you so much. And I can see that my internet is also kind of lagging a little bit. So if you see me turn my camera off, that's a big reason why, but I'll make sure that I get back on so I can let you both know if you're running out of time. So Catherine, and Catherine Microness, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Catherine Microness. I am a parent of 2 children. My daughter graduated from the district in 2021. She attended from preschool all the way through high school graduation. And my son has been in the district since preschool, and he is currently a senior at Marana High School. My daughter was on a 504 for a pituitary condition, and my son is on an IEP for autism. So I have a lot of experience with those 2 issues. I served on the board of the Autism Society for 10 years, and I've been on the board of the local Rainbow Girl chapter and on the state level for the last 12 years. I have a degree in inorganic and organic chemistry from the University of Southern California. I was raised in Southern California, and I've lived in Tucson for 20 years. I decided to run for the school board because our school board during the pandemic seemed to be very dysfunctional. There were meetings where the only motion they could pass was the motion to adjourn. So I found that very unfortunate. And I felt there needed to be some common sense brought back to our board. And we needed to be able to work collaboratively to reach our goals and to provide the best education we can for our students in the safest environment. I look forward to a rigorous campaign, and I hope that Abby and I both get elected in November.
Great, thank you so much. And we're going to get right to it. So if you are here either on the webinar or watching us on Facebook, please feel free to type in any questions that you might have in the Q&A, and we will get to them when we get to the rest of the questions. So without any further ado, this time, Catherine, you're going to go ahead and go first. As an incoming school board member, what programming and policies do you hope to bring to the district? And you'll go first, and then Abby will go second. So what programming and policies do you hope to bring to the district?
I'd really like to see us make sure that we are fulfilling our promise to our support staff and our educators, our teachers, and that they're being compensated with a competitive salary. I do not think that lowering the requirements to be a teacher is in the best interest of our students and our community. I would also like to look at our inclusivity, particularly pertaining to our LGBTQ population. My daughter started the chapter of the Gay Straight Alliance at Marana High School. And with her experience in that club, I got to see that we really need to work on our diversity and inclusion in the district.
Great. Yeah, big issue that is making a lot of headlines these days. So same question to you, Abby. What kind of policies and programming would you like to bring to the district?
I echo everything that Catherine has said, but the first thing, in addition to everything that she said, is the first thing that pops in my mind is to get back to free breakfast and lunch for all the students, regardless of income. With the pandemic, the nutritional needs of children were met, and the shame and the stigma disappeared because everyone had equal access to breakfast and lunch. There are families that are completely dependent on this type of program. We have 5 Title I schools, where some of them are in the more rural areas of Marana. I am impressed that Marana already has something called Marana Cares bus, where it is a air-conditioned bus with free Wi-Fi, so kids can come in, grab a bite, and get out of the heat during the summer. But what if we can meet the needs of the community by alleviating the burdens of a majority of the working families for the school? I also want to see lunch shaming and withholding food be removed as well from these nutritional policies.
Great, thank you so much. It's a trend that I'm seeing in a lot of school districts, actually, to provide breakfast and lunch without any kind of paperwork. Well, I think you still have to do the paperwork, but I think that's something that I'm seeing in a lot of districts. So thank you for that. Let's go ahead and move into the next question. This is one that's been popping up a lot since May. Given the recent events in Uvalde, Texas, what do you think needs to be done with regards to stopping school shootings? So it's kind of a two-parter. And what role can school boards play to keep kids safe and keep staff safe? So, I mean, I think that we all probably have an idea of how it's handled at a macro level and how we can handle it in school boards. So this time, Abby, you're going to go first. And I'll repeat the question. What do you think needs to be done with regards to stopping school shootings? And what role can school boards play to keep kids and staff safe?
As a parent, this is very near and dear to my heart because every time I send my child into school, I do worry. So, but as a board member, I think we have to provide a service to our community, to provide information around Arizona gun violence numbers. They are not low. I am a Mom Demand Action Gun Sense candidate, and I completely support and get behind their Be Smart firearm storage program. It means secure all guns in the homes and vehicles, model responsible behavior around guns, ask about the presence of unsecured guns, and recognize the role of guns in suicide, and tell your peers to be smart. I think as a board, we can distribute this information at a community level just to raise awareness. Second thing that I hate that the onus is placed on schools to primarily keep the kids safe. I support bonds. Specifically, I'm advocating for Marana to vote yes on Proposition 491 that has allocated $10 million for safety and security upgrades for all the campuses. This is something that I would hope the community would vote for to protect our little ones and our educators, because I don't think anyone wants to see a repeat of what happened in Texas. Third, and most importantly, I would advocate for more counselors with a reasonable ratio of students to counselors. These shooters are typically young males who are making impulsive decisions. And I come from a Mr. Rogers generation where we talk about our feelings and we felt like we were in some degree of control. If we had a similar model where we have trusted mental health professionals, it would be helpful.
And thank you so much. Same question, Catherine, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat it for you. What do you think needs to be done with regards to stopping school shootings, and what role can school boards play to keep kids and staff safe?
Okay, I am also a Mom's Demand Action candidate. And I also support the Marana bond, Proposition 491 for the 90 million. The bond is for 90 million, of which 10 million is for school safety. I support the decision to create a new position of security. I believe, I don't know the official title that they called it, but it was a security position. It's going to be filled by a retired policeman who has gone to a lot of trainings on school shootings and mass shootings. So he's going to be able to tell us what are our weaknesses in the district and where are our strengths and what can we do to improve and make our campuses safer. I do endorse and support the one entrance access to the campus. There's only one way on campus and one way off campus. I do support the panic buttons and the automatic locking doors. We need a lot of infrastructure. We need to put in new alarm systems, new intercom systems, and that's all included in the bond. I do believe schools should be gun-free zones. In our current climate with some of our white nationalists wanting to ban books and various things, they seem to not trust teachers to teach a curriculum, but they want to arm teachers. That seems counterintuitive to me. How do the teachers keep the gun safe so the kids don't have access to it? Why are we asking teachers to even take on this responsibility? We've already asked them to protect and shield our children. Now we're asking them to potentially shoot another child and protect the children with a gun that they might not feel comfortable using either. So I think those are all topics we need to really talk about. I want to have a real frank discussion about gun safety in the schools with our state legislature.
Great, thank you. And thanks for paying attention to my hand signals over here. So yeah, let's go on to another question, because I do feel like this is a question that's kind of related. Do you support programming? Because I think I heard Abby mention it. And of course, Abby, you're gonna, oh wait, I'm sorry, let's see. Yeah, Abby, you're gonna go first. Wait, no, I'm already getting it wrong. See, Catherine, you're gonna go first this
If
time,
you
right?
need Abby to go first, she can go first. We're very cooperative. So
No,
we're good.
it's Catherine who's going first. I don't know how I do this every time, and especially when there's two candidates, it's almost embarrassing at this point. It's almost like my brain won't let me just get it right. So I heard Abby, you say something about increasing counselors and social emotional. So where do you stand? Do you support programming that includes social emotional learning in Marana Unified School District?
I absolutely support that. As a parent of a child with autism, social emotional goals are paramount to his success. And so I understand that's needed for all the students. Mental health in this nation is a huge issue that we need to address. We need to have counselors on our schools for various reasons. Our kids all experience different things in their home life that they bring to school that our counselors need to address to help with those social emotional. So these kids can learn good decision making and what are appropriate responses and how to collaborate in a group setting. I think it's very imperative to the future success of these students that we pay attention to their social emotional development.
Great. And same question to you, Abby.
I 100% support social emotional learning. I believe it is absolutely necessary to show our kids how to communicate their needs, how to resolve conflicts, how to feel and demonstrate empathy for others, how to connect and maintain those relationships at their peer level and also at the adult level. It's so critical for them to learn how to establish boundaries and how to learn tolerance and be tolerant of others.
Great. Thank you so much. And so this next question, we will go ahead and we'll start off with Abby this time. Abby, what approach, speaking of social emotional learning, what approach should schools and districts have with regards to student discipline?
So Marana uses the positive behavior intervention and support. I really appreciate how they've implemented this system because I have a child that has special needs, and in a charter school, he was overwhelmed and just completely shut down, and he had a meltdown of epic proportions. And the perception that was placed on him that he needed to be disciplined. And once I got him out of that environment and I was introduced to how Marana handles discipline with the PBIS, I see a positive change in the way that they utilize that system across several grades. So I've had a kindergartner up to 5th grade, and the feedback that I've gotten from the teachers is that it really works well. They don't send so many children to the principal. Their teachers are able to use it as a part of their classroom management strategies.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And so the same question to you, Catherine. What are your thoughts about school discipline and how should it be handled at the school and district level?
I support the district using PBIS. Again, I have a son with autism. It's always better to teach him by catching him doing good things. So then he learns that's the expected behavior and he's rewarded for the good behavior. We do bring it to his attention, the negative behavior, but we do it in a way where it's not condescending and demoralizing. But there needs to be, as the children age to an older age, middle school and high school, they also need to learn natural consequences. If you fail to do your homework, you don't get to cry and get extra days. It's a natural consequence of you failed to do your homework. You need to learn better time management. But if you have those students that seem to really struggle, when they turn in their homework, you need to celebrate that. And so they get that positive reinforcement of, oh, this is the expected expectation that I'm meeting. And that's why I'm being acknowledged that I turned in my homework. So I appreciate what the district does. I appreciate the follow through and the community partnerships that are made so that at the end of the year, when kids have, in elementary particularly, they've earned these compliment tickets for doing good things. At some of the schools, I don't know if all of them, I'd like to learn about the other schools, but I know the ones I have seen, community partners have given very nice gifts that are drawn from all those tickets from the school year. So the kids get super excited and they're so proud when they have won something, and they can tell you which compliment ticket of theirs was picked and what they did to get that ticket in that drawing. And there's just the beaming and the proudness that you see is just, or the pride, excuse me, is just amazing to be a part of. So I support the district using positive behavior supports.
Great, thank you so much. And because it kind of goes along with another question that we had, I'm going to go ahead and take this question from the audience right now. This is from anonymous attendee, and this person is asking, touching back on equity and inclusion, what does equity and inclusion look like to all candidates? So this time we'll start with Catherine. As far as equity and inclusion goes, what does it look like to you as a candidate?
Equity and inclusion to me looks like we are leveling the playing field for those children that need accommodations so that they are starting from the same starting point as the other children. So an example would be with my son having autism. He happens to have dysgraphia. So when he takes standardized testing, he needs to have the ability to use a word processor to type out his answers because he cannot write. And because of that, he gets a little bit of extra time. I think he gets an 1.5 time than what the other students gets. Some people have asked me if that's an unfair advantage, and my reply is no. It's giving him that we've leveled the playing field so that he has the same opportunities to succeed as the other students do. So for me, that's the most important thing, is that we include all the students, and we have to look at everything: religion, race, sexuality, and make sure that we're leveling the playing field for all the kids to have the opportunity to succeed.
Great, thank you so much. So same question is going to go to you, Abby, right?
Yeah. So equity to me, there's several different levels. So again, from a nutritional level, equity needs to be leveled. I am a person with a disability. So with the pandemic, I have noticed that there has been major technological advancements towards providing equity and just sheer accommodations. For example, Zoom right here has live transcript, and that was not a thing that was present before the pandemic. Also, we are a melting pot of different cultures and faiths, different family structures, blended families, and I think it's really important for our staff and our educators and even other students to identify any potential biases that could be not necessarily passed on, but maybe presented to them in a harmful way.
Sorry about that. My computer was stalling out just a little bit. That brings me to another question, because you touched upon the fact that many of our students come from very diverse backgrounds. And this is a question that's always very important to our members. And actually, we're doing this forum because one of our members who lives in your district wanted to learn more about you. Not just you, but the other candidates, of course. So I'm glad that the two of you showed up today. So this question: what role, if any, should religion play in public schools? And we'll start with Abby this time. So what role, if any, should religion play in our public schools?
So I believe in separation of church and state. I do not feel that religion has any place in a public school setting. Like I mentioned, we are a diversified community. We have many students that come from different backgrounds, different faiths, even as a staff as well. As a board member, I will remain neutral to that, but respect that as well. I think it's really important. The only time that I would think it's acceptable to bring religion into the school would be teaching it through accurate U.S. history. It is impossible to teach U.S. history without touching on the religious aspects that have contributed to some of our wars and things like that.
Great, thank you so much for that. And so Catherine, same question goes to you. What role, if any, should our schools play, or should religion play in our public schools?
I am a fierce believer in the separation of church and state. I am Greek Orthodox. We consider ourselves in the church as the original Christians. And I don't know of any doctrine in our church that says that we need to proselytize and force our religion on anybody. I have notoriously been the person at the elementary school level when my kids were there and we were doing the holiday singing, when it would be brought up to sing a very secular song like Silent Night, I would bring it to everybody's attention that we had a Hindu student, we had Muslim students, we had Jewish students. Was it really appropriate for us to be singing such a secular song at a school function? And I found it to be, the answer was always no, we shouldn't be singing that. I believe that children should have the opportunity, students and teachers, if they want to initiate a prayer on their own, that is their right to do so under the Constitution, but they are not to be directed by anybody else to pray. It is not the school's responsibility to teach that moral vision of what religion is for that person in school. That's a family lesson to be learned at home. And I think it's very hard to teach students that we're teaching you facts and we're teaching you data and we want you to be critical thinkers, but we're going to teach you about just Christianity. And that seems to be the direction that the people that want to bring church back into the schools, it seems to be that they just want to bring back Christianity into the school. And it's a very controversial issue that you don't want to say, because I come from the Bible Belt. I was born in New Orleans. My family's from Texas. They all want prayer in school, but they understand we can't have prayer in school because you can't appreciate and respect everybody's belief system if you do that.
All right, I'm going to cut you off right there. Thank you so
Perfect.
much. And I apologize, Lindsay, because I didn't quite see the other warning signal that you gave me. But since there's only two people here, I don't think that people are going to be too upset by it. So let's go ahead and go to the next question. Now, we have talked a little bit about some programming that some people see as controversial, but other people may see as necessary. So this question is going to go to Catherine first. Do you support programming that includes comprehensive sex ed or CSE in our schools?
Do I support comprehensive sex ed? Yes, I support comprehensive sex ed. Will it happen in my district? Probably not in the near future. The only sex ed that I know of that my children were ever exposed to was an optional program after school. It was for 1 week for 1 hour a day, and it was an abstinence only program. So that is currently what is taught or offered in our district. We do not have a comprehensive sex ed program. To me, it is startling because I came from Southern California. I graduated high school in the 80s, and I was required to take a whole semester of comprehensive sex ed. It was a pretty graphic course that I took. So I was quite startled that that wasn't even offered here in 2022. Do I think it's necessary that we give the kids the facts? Yes. Do I think that kids should learn sex ed? Yes. Do I think parents have a responsibility and that should there be an opt-out? Yes. But I would like to see a comprehensive sex ed program offered in our district, even if it's an elective at the high school level.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer. And Abby, the same question goes to you. Do you support comprehensive sex ed for students in Marana Unified?
Yes, I absolutely do support comprehensive sex ed. But again, I'm just not seeing that happening within the Murano district within the next couple of years. In the 90s, I had a comprehensive sex ed. And when my children aren't quite that age yet to learn about it in school, but I was completely blown away that it was just an opt-in after school, 1 hour only, and it didn't cover much of anything other than abstinence only. We have children that are going through puberty. We have children that are identifying as a different gender. I do feel that implementing comprehensive sex ed would allow for a better chance for inclusivity as a whole. The more that we can get more information out and clear up this information about our trans kids and our LGBTQ kids, we would have a better chance of, reducing suicide rates and things like that. I do think it's really important just because our kids should know how their bodies work. They should know what to expect if they get pregnant. They should know how to use various different kind of birth control. They should have access to this kind of information. They should not be learning it on YouTube or TikTok. It should be, I would think it would be a good idea to be amongst their peers as they are getting science, evidence-based, medically factual information about their body.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Okay, so this is probably going to tie in with one of the questions too that's coming from a member of the audience. But this past legislative session in 2022, we saw a number of education and school-focused bills become law. So of the bills that made it through the legislative session, or maybe didn't even make it through but got really close, which bill gave you the most concern, and how will you handle its implementation as a board member? So that was kind of a meaty question, and we're going to start with Abby this time. So we saw a number of education school-focused bills become law. Which bill gave you the most concern, and how will you handle its implementation as a board member?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. So the one that hurt my heart the most is the one about transgender girls and blocking them from playing in sports. The ratio, the percentage that this affects is like 0.004% of the athletes in Arizona. And I think it's discrimination. The state is not leading with compassion, and I feel like it's downright evil. But the one that has the most impact overall is the universal voucher expansion. I do not support this expansion at all, none whatsoever. It is not equitable. There's already data showing that families that live in rural areas do not take advantage of the ESA program. And the fact that there is about 85,000 private school students, that's $600 million just being drained away from public schools with no accountability. I am endorsed by Stabler Schools, Arizona, and I feel that there should be accountability. I feel that we serve the public. This should be an investment in our children. And I completely disagree with for-profit business models like charter schools and private schools, although parents have the option of sending their children that way. But again, they're profiting off of our children. And, some of the public school educators are some of the best in the country. And they are, they're not there for the money. But if we continue to chip away at the funds allocated for public school, I'm really concerned that our kids with disability is going to suffer. And as a person with a disability, that bothers me tremendously.
All right, we're going to go ahead. Same question this time goes to Catherine. Of all the bills that we saw that were related to schools and education in general, which one gave you the most concern, and how will you handle its implementation as a board member?
The bill that concerned me the most was Senate Bill 1211. It would require teachers to put in their lesson plans and which curriculum they were going to be using prior to the school year beginning. It would be in the summer for parent review. My issue with it is that teachers, how are they supposed to put their curriculum in and how they're going to be teaching their lesson plans when they haven't even gotten their student list, so they know what students they have that have IEPs, 504s, need accommodations, because that's going to alter their lesson plans, how they present the material based on the students they have. So it seemed like we were very much not trusting teachers as professional educators. We were trying to micromanage them, and I didn't see how the implementation was going to occur if a parent objected to a particular lesson plan. Well, what did that mean? Was her student removed from the class for that week? I mean, it opened up so many, it opened Pandora's box in my mind. And I just felt it was very disrespectful to our educators as a whole that we were going to ask them to do this. And then another thing, as with Abby, I just totally am against the universal vouchers. I am very fearful that it's going to decimate public education as we know it. I understand the need for the ESAs for special needs children, but I don't think that subsidizing using the universal vouchers, the way I see it, is we are basically giving a subsidies to wealthy families to offset the cost of private schools, because your lower income families will not be able to utilize those vouchers, because a lot of those families are one-car families. They won't have transportation to the private school. They won't have the remaining tuition. They won't be provided a free and reduced lunch. So therefore, they won't be able to use the universal voucher. So it seems very discriminatory to me.
Thank you. And, you know, as a former teacher myself, who occasionally in the beginning of the school year would be assigned to a specific grade level and content area, and then because they had to move things around, you know, suddenly next thing you know, you're going from teaching 7th grade English to 6th grade social studies, or, you know, from 4th grade to 5th grade. And so, yeah, that I found that one particularly troubling. And I really try to be very nonpartisan here with regards to what's going on, but the practicalities of that one, I found, you know, it's overwhelming enough in the beginning of a school year before you meet your kids. And so then to have kind of that added thing added on, it just is, it's not really realistic. And it makes you wonder, where did that come from in the first place? And what problem exactly were they trying to solve? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go to another audience question, because I think it fits nicely with this conversation that we're having about, you know, what's gone through the legislature. So we have another question from anonymous attendee, and they are asking, since the state legislature is so involved in education funding, what is your assessment of the candidates for your LD 17 state Senate and representatives? And we're going to start with Catherine first, but I'm going to go ahead and let's see. So LD 17 is, I know that you have Dana Almond and Brian Radford. I believe that
I think if Mike Nichols is the Senate candidate? Yeah.
And there's quite a few, you know, on in the Republican field as well. I do know that there was an interesting, I think, upset there for the Republican, or the, you know, GOP in Arizona, where it used to be represented by Vince Leach, but now we're seeing a new candidate. So I would actually, you know, it's not really my area of the state, so I would love to hear your perspective on those candidates. So let me repeat the question again. Since the state legislature is so involved in education funding, what is your assessment of the candidates for your LD 17 state Senate and for your House representatives? So Catherine, go ahead and go first.
I am supporting Dana Almond, Brian, and Mike Nichols for the Senate. Those three, they have all committed to fully funding public education. They've all committed to addressing, going back to previous funding levels before education was cut so severely. I do not know enough about who won the GOP, to be totally honest with you, to make a statement on what their beliefs are. But based on what the GOP party in our state has done in the recent years, I don't see them bringing back that funding to public education. They're the ones that push through the universal vouchers. So I would like to see our education funded back to the levels based on inflation and everything. Public education should be getting a huge jump in our budget. I have personal stories to tell of going up and talking to various legislatures and being told that Arizona is a retirement state, not an education state. That I was told, we didn't tell you to have one of those children, speaking about my autistic son, that I should move to Iowa because that's where I'll get a good education for my child. I don't think that's a very smart stance to take, because you have to have a workforce to take care of these older people. You want good doctors, good nurses, you want bank tellers, and they have to get an education, and we need to have a standard of what that education will be for our community. It makes a much stronger community if you have an educated community. So I am supporting Dana Allman and Brian and Mike because I just feel it's most important that they've made the commitment to fully fund public education.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer. And so I'll read it again. Same question for you, Abby. Since the state legislature is so involved in education funding, what's your assessment of the candidates for your LD 17 state Senate and House of Representative candidates?
So I am throwing all of my support behind Dana Allman, Brian Radford, and Mike Nickerson. All three of them have committed to addressing the disparities in public school education. So Dana Allman in particular, she's the mom of triplets. She is a West Point graduate, and she's also a veteran. She's going to get things done. And she wants to see that our public school education succeed. Brian Radford, he's a special education teacher. So he has a unique perspective of being an educator. And when he gets elected, I have no doubt that he will make the right decisions to support our public education. And also Mike Nickerson, he is a product of public education. And he also has committed as well. Their opponents, which is Justine Radsack, Rachel Jones, and Corey something. So Justine Radsack has been endorsed by Purple for Parents, which is a group that was formed in 2018 against the Red for Ed movement. So I can't see her supporting public school education, and it's almost as if they want to see it to be defunded.
Yeah, we've had discussions about that in this in some of these forums before, so I think a lot of our members probably feel the same way. All right, this is one of my favorite questions. What role should standardized testing play in driving school programming and policies? So what role should standardized testing play in driving school programming and policies? And we will start with Abby for this question.
Thank you. This is a good question. Standardized testing, from my perspective, what I see as a parent, I see a lot of anxiety. I don't think it's an accurate data point to use, because it's just one test over the course of the year. And then the funding that's allocated to school is just based on that one day. And I am seeing that, the percentage of students actually taking the ED merit test is actually getting lower and lower every year. I don't think it should be used for allocating funding to schools because not every student is walking through those doors at the same level. And then I think I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but you have one student that may not read as well as another student. And how can you expect to move from one day to the next on teaching the standards that Arizona wants you to teach that aren't typically developmentally appropriate? And so that's my perspective. I just don't think it should be used for funding. And I think it's not equitable for especially our children with disabilities.
Great, thank you so much. And so the same question goes to you, Catherine. What role, if any, should standardized testing play in our public schools and driving school programming and policies? I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I view standardized testing with a grain of salt in that it's a snapshot into one moment in time. I don't think that we should be using standardized testing to determine teachers' performance evaluations or raises. That seems counterintuitive. I also have an issue with the fact that many children who are special needs, their accommodations page on their 504, their IEP isn't written in a way to get them the necessary accommodations they need for these standardized tests for them to succeed. So until we can bridge that gap, I think you have to take the results and it's good data to get. It kind of gives you a snapshot into that day. This is what the kids were doing and are we making progress? But it shouldn't be the only data point we collect.
Great, thank you so much. Let me see if I have any more questions. I think I have a couple more here. I've actually kind of sailed through. I've got one more. And I feel like I think we already touched upon that one a little bit. So let me make sure I've gone through all these. All right, this is the last question that I have on my list. So if you do not win a seat on the Marana Unified School District Governing Board, how do you plan to remain involved in board business, decision-making, etc.? And so this one will go to Catherine first. If you don't win a seat in Marana, how do you plan to remain involved in board business, decision-making, etc.?
I'm currently serving on the bond committee. And then I'm also working with the Exceptional Students Department with Sarah Klim to form more policies to help make sure that we are providing the necessary accommodations for all special needs students. So that's another committee I'm serving on. And then I attend the board meetings. I attend study sessions. I communicate pretty freely with several of the board members. I meet with the superintendent as needed. And I make sure that I provide a voice in our community of things that I feel are important and that I've talked to other parents about that they feel is important, that I can bring that information to the district.
Great. So same question is going to go to you, Abby. And that question is, if you don't win a seat on the Marana Unified School District Governing Board, how do you plan to remain involved in board business, decision-making, etc.?
I would continue to do the same thing that I am doing right now. So I would attend their meetings. I would lobby on their behalf for our educators up at the Capitol. I would try to form relationships within the community to get them to show up at our board meetings so they can see what is going on. It is really important to me to make these partnerships, especially with everything that is going on with our political landscape. I would continue to show up. I serve as I'm on the board for the PTO for my kids' elementary school, and I love it. It's the delight of it's the highlight of my my week, so to speak. So activism is very important to me at this point. I have realized that we do have a voice. It is important to do it in a manner that has compassion and empathy behind it. That's basically it.
Great, thank you. So that's all the questions that I have. I'm going to go ahead and tackle the rest of these audience questions that we have. I'm going to go ahead and start with Raina because I know she's still here. So Raina asks, how will you support educators in your role as a board member? So Abby, we'll start with you. How will you support the educators in Marana in your role as a board member?
So as a board member, I would support them by actively engaging them. It is important to get our educators' feedback of what is working, what is not working, what kind of impact analysis should be done on potential decisions that could really affect our educators. I would also support them for more pay. I mean, our teachers should have a living wage. I would support the right to collective bargaining as well. But mostly we really need to gather data from all different grades and different kinds of teachers and staff to retain teachers. I mean, I think that's the most important part here. Yes.
Important indeed. I think I saw today that we are looking at a third of our classrooms. There was an article on AZ Central or something like that. And, you know, a district like Phoenix Union had 100 vacancies. And I used to work in Phoenix Union, and that never happened before. When I first applied in Phoenix Union, it was very difficult to find a job as a high school social studies teacher, English teacher, etc. And now to see 100 vacancies, and as both of you have, you know, so eloquently articulated, it's our special ed students that really seem to get the short end of the stick there. And I know I heard Dr. Susan Lugo from the Creighton district today talking about how that is the department that's taking the biggest hit. So those kids who need the most supports are sadly probably not going to receive them. So same question is going to go to you, Catherine. I'm sorry. So the question was, how will you support educators in your role as a board member?
As a board member, I will support collective bargaining and their right to be in the union and the right to have all their issues be brought to the board if there's anything that the board can do to support them. I personally feel that the teachers need to be able to be respected as professionals and be paid accordingly. So my job as a school board member is to go up to the legislative house and let them know that we need to fund education so that we can pay our teachers. I watch all these other states like Florida, where to be a teacher, you just have to be a vet. You don't even have to be a high school graduate, just a vet or a spouse of a vet, and you could be a teacher. And that is alarming because I do not feel you should lower the criteria to be a teacher because you have a teacher shortage. To attract more highly qualified teachers, you need to pay better. And then you can fill those positions with the appropriate educators that have the education. I know I have a degree in inorganic and organic chemistry. I am by no means qualified to teach. I know nothing about learning disabilities, how to catch those learning disabilities. I know nothing about lesson planning, classroom management. These are very professional people, and we need to treat them as such.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, we have another question, and Patrick is also still here, so I want to make sure I answer his question first. Patrick says, I do not support religion and the church in schools, but I do support the teaching of World War II and the Holocaust. Please comment. So this time we'll start with Catherine. He says, I do support teaching of World War II and the Holocaust, so please comment on that.
And I totally agree with Patrick. We shouldn't be teaching. We need to keep the separation of church and state in our schools, but we need to teach the factual data that the Holocaust was real. It did happen. Why did it happen? Who was persecuted? And not just the Holocaust in World War II, but the genocides in Somalia. A majority of our wars in this world were done on the name of religion. So how do we teach that? Well, we teach the facts. And that's what it boils down to. You have to teach the facts.
Great. Thank you so much. So same to you. The teaching of World War II and the Holocaust, Abby, please comment on that.
I support 100% teaching World War II and the Holocaust. The Holocaust specifically was a pivotal lesson for me that was taught when I was a child. It was one that I learned that as a person with a disability, that I could have just been shot because I was not perfect. And I have learned how to be empathetic to other marginalized groups just because of that one history lesson that set me off on a rabbit hole of what really happened with the Holocaust. And again, it needs to be taught factually. It cannot be a whitewashed version of history. It needs to be taught exactly as it happened.
Great. Yeah. And then this is actually going to be our last question from the audience. John Paul has left, but at least hopefully he can come back and watch us on YouTube or on Facebook, on our Facebook, and see it all later. But I also want to give both of you an opportunity, if you have any links to be able to share with, sorry, my headphones are having a malfunction problem, so I'm going to go ahead and turn those off real quick. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any links that you have. Make sure you direct them to everybody and not just the panelists and Secular AZ. But if you have any links for social media or anything like that, please go ahead and put them into the chat. I'll do my best to put them onto the Facebook as well, so folks know how to find you. So websites, social media handles, so that you can support your campaigns. We appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedules to show up. And we're going to end with John Paul, and he asks, what do you feel is the biggest challenge facing the district, and how do you plan to tackle it? And we're going to start with Abby this time. That's the question. Biggest challenge, and how do you plan to tackle it?
So right now, the biggest challenge is teacher shortage. So I plan on tackling it by identifying, I need to get in first. So I need to understand the inner workings and what kind of policies are in place, what kind of duties that teachers have that could be, we can alleviate them from and put them on someone else who may be on a career track to becoming a certified teacher. I know we need to have a better policy around having our teachers having proper planning time. Our teachers shouldn't be home at 10 o'clock planning their next day. They should have the time to do it during their contract hours. I fully intend to lobby on their behalf for a fully funded public school and fully resourced public school. Now, as a board member, we can only get the funding that is determined by our state, and that's going to take more than just a board member or a board for that. It's going to take the community. So I would like to spread awareness of what our parents and what our families, and by extension the community, what they could do to raise their voices and say, 90% of the parents in Arizona want public school fully funded.
Yeah, we've spoken loud and clear many, many times. So same question goes to you, Catherine. What do you feel the biggest challenge facing the district is, and how do you plan to tackle it?
I think the teacher shortage and teacher retention are both paramount to the success of the district. And I also think we need to address school safety, and in Marana in particular, it looks like we need 5 new elementary schools as soon as possible. So how are we going to get that completed? Those will be the things that I'll be looking at if I were to get elected to the board immediately upon being sworn in.
Wow, that is a rapidly growing district. I had no idea. That's a lot. 5 schools. Whew, yeah. And
Yep.
then you need to make sure that you have the voters behind it to support the bond, because if the legislature is not going to do it, who the heck's going to do it? So, wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned because we're running against Tom Carlson and Mikhail Roberts, and Tom's the incumbent, and they were both recently endorsed by Purple for Parents. And I can't see anything in their platform that says that they have any solutions to teacher retention, teacher salaries, funding 5 new schools, funding public education. So it concerns me that they're endorsed by the Southern Poverty Group, deemed Purple for Parents as a hate group.
Yeah, we're well aware of that too here in secular.
That's scary. That's scary.
Indeed it is. And this is part of the reason why we do these forums. So again, I want to thank both of you for joining us. Before I give you a chance to do your closing statements, I just want to say again that we are a 501c3. If you like this kind of programming, we love to offer it, and we love to give people like Catherine and Abby a platform to be able to share. We're happy to give it to the other board candidates as well whenever they choose to join us, because our members are very concerned about what does happen in their public schools and how their taxpayer dollars are being spent by the people in the state. So thank you both for joining us. Real quick, I'm just going to say this Friday, we have an amazing opportunity with a great guest. His name is Hemant Mehta. He is also known as the Friendly Atheist. He's going to be discussing Christian hate preachers, which seems like an oxymoron, right? And their attacks on LGBTQ, non-theist women, and more. He also did an incredible kind of expose about this Texas church's unsanctioned performance of the musical Hamilton, where they changed the wording so that at the end of it, basically they were calling for the LGBTQ community to repent for their sins, and that Hamilton actually accepted Christ and all this kind of stuff. So that's really interesting. I cannot wait to hear from him. On Wednesday, August 17th, tentatively, we have the Dysart Unified School District Governing Board candidate. However, it's not seeming like that's going to happen, so we might have a little replacement there. Stay tuned. Friday, August 19th, we're going to have a wonderful group from the Tucson area called the Equality Squad, where they are fighting for transgender kids' rights. So that should be a very interesting conversation to listen in on. And then your neighbor, August 24th, the Tucson Unified School District Board Candidate Forum will be happening in 2 Wednesdays from now at 6 p.m. And then on Friday, August 26th at 12 p.m., our programming, we're trying to get it so that it's Wednesday nights and Friday afternoons, Voter Choice Arizona. So this is a nonpartisan group working to bring ranked choice voting to Arizona, which I think is a very exciting prospect and an interesting prospect, and I cannot wait to learn more about it. And so for now, Catherine, I'm going to let you go ahead and close out and explain to the people who are paying attention right now or who will be paying attention later why they should vote for you for Marana Unified School District.
Well, I want to thank you for hosting this evening and for inviting us to attend. I hope the voters of the Marana Unified School District vote for me because they see that I will represent their views, that we will work together collaboratively to improve our district, and that there will be a voice of reason and responsibility on our board that respects our teachers and our support staff. And I hope to form community relations that will just enhance the learning experience for our children.
Fantastic. Abby, same to you. Go ahead and close us out. Tell the people why they should vote for you.
I just want to thank Secular Arizona and Janae for hosting us and all the folks tuning in with us tonight. I would hope that you vote for me because I am a parent that is passionate about our public schools, our amazing educators, and our community. I have 3 kids in elementary school that are benefiting from a Marana education. I have a child that has special needs and another child that is gifted, and Marana caters to both of them beautifully. Now, I am here for the long haul. I also serve on the board of the PTO, and it is just one of my favorite things to do as I form relationship with the teachers and the kids. I am a proud product of public education, and as a person with disability, I've learned to advocate for myself and others because of our public schools. I am ready to take the next step and lead with compassion and empathy. It's also time that we shake up the status quo and we get parent representation on the board, as well as representation for our children with disabilities. With my background being in software, I have learned that communication and listening to stakeholders and creating robust software, and this particular skill set translates very nicely being on the board, because it's important that you have compassion and you listen and you're able to make decisions from a 30,000-foot view. I am absolutely motivated to what is in the best interest of all of Marana students. Again, thank you so much for hosting this.
Well, it's our pleasure. And again, I'm so grateful to the member who reached out to us and wanted to hear your voices. I hope that with the upcoming candidate forums that we get everybody included. But we'll wait and see if that actually happens. But to the 2 of you, thank you for showing up tonight. Thanks to everybody else who showed up, whether they're still here or not. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. So thank you so much. Have a good night.